hablar, hacer.
Tenemos con nosotros una de las empresas destacadas, gestores, fondos que llegan a España y que están levantando mucha expectación. Rahul Bhushan, co-founder of Rize ETF. Good morning. Thanks for having this time with us.
Good morning. It's good to be with you. How are you?
Thanks. What's the global situation of ETF?
Sure. So the ETF market is obviously expanding. It's been expanding for a number of years, and we are our new ETF issuer here in Europe, and we decided to launch the company back in 2019, focused on thematic investing, and so we've just recently made our entrance to Spain, and we're pretty excited about it. But as a whole, you know, the ETF market is growing very rapidly, and we're playing right into that, hopefully.
Why your company is landing here in Spain?
Sure, it's a great question. You know, over the last 5 years, a little longer actually, 7-8 years, we've watched the thematic funds market in Europe get much bigger. It's a different type of investing. It's a much more relatable form of investing. It's a more meaningful type of investing. And what we've seen is the expansion of the market here in Europe. And we've sort of watched this market grow over the last, as I said, 7-8 years, and you know, go across and move across the various markets in Europe. You know, it started off in the UK and Germany, and it's over time expanded into all of Europe. And we've always historically had investors in Spain, and so all we're really doing is by entering Spain is to bring our funds, our investment strategies to Spanish investors. So we see a big market there, and you know, we're catering to the same people that have always bought our funds: the big private banks, the large asset managers, and the financial advisors in Spain.
People from the office could have a question about what's the difference of Rize ETF, but as a big part of economy, as talking about as an early adopter of Rize ETF, of a second generation of thematic funds, how you achieved to arrive before to this new thematic investment?
It's a really great question. So yeah, it focuses right at the heart of our mission as a company. You know, we started off, actually, the first thematic fund we built was back in 2014, and at the time, it wasn't evident that there was going to be significant demand for thematic investing in Europe. It was we tried it out. We built a robotics fund at the time, and little did we know, you know, 2 years later, the fund became one of the biggest, one of the most successful thematic funds in Europe. And so we'd sort of started and seen the early adoption of something, a sea change, if you will, in styles of investing across Europe. If you fast forward 4 or 5 years from there, you know, we're in 2020, and we see, you know, the market having become much bigger. There's lots of thematic funds in Europe, whether they're passive or active, or you know, even hybrids, which exist these days. And so we've sort of watched this market mature. And what's really interesting about thematic investing is there is always a new structural growth opportunity that's manifesting itself in publicly listed securities. And so what we pride ourselves in is really to identify those trends early and capture them within our investment funds. And so why would we focus at you know, on themes here at Rize? It's really quite simple. You know, it's something we've done. It's a market we've seen mature. It's something we're very familiar with. We don't try to do other things. We focus exclusively on thematic investing, and we feel like there's a big wave of change coming in the styles of investing across Europe, which is going to be massively beneficial to thematic funds. And so we're sort of positioning ourselves at that juncture.
What's your new offer in Spain?
So the Spanish market has always been important for us. We feel like there's a number of big institutional buyers, financial advisors, and then, you know, the people that are in the middle. the independent asset managers and the independent private banks. We've always seen that the market has been big for thematic funds and thematic styles of investing. And so what we're really doing is we're entering the market and catering to that demand. We actually had a number of Spanish investors reach out to us online when we weren't registered in Spain, and asking us to register our funds in Spain because their clients had organically discovered us on the internet and they wanted to buy our funds, and they couldn't recommend them prior to the funds being registered in the country. So what we've done is we've registered our funds. As we grow, we're going to be building more funds. We're also going to be registering those in Spain. And we think Spain is going to become a really important market for us. So we're quite excited about that.
But the customer here in Spain, they have 4 different funds, 4 different ETF for your company.
Exactly. So there's 4 at the moment. We are expanding the roster quickly. We're going to be launching 4 additional funds this year, so later in this year. And the objective is to grow at a pretty not at a there's no intention here to become a thematic supermarket. That's not our approach. We don't want to be a supermarket of funds. What we want to be is a specialist where only our highest conviction themes are available on our panel for people to then come and use those products. We pride ourselves on a lot of content, a lot of education around our themes, because we recognize that a lot of these themes are very early stage. So we have to bring education to investors and explain to them why some of these themes warrant attention. And so we spend a lot of our time there. And if we spread ourselves too thin across lots of products, we're not really going to be able to have that focus. And so as a business, we're really focused. We're focused on very specific themes. Every single strategy, every single theme goes through a very rigorous selection process here at Rize to make its way into a fund or not make its way into a fund. That focus will remain as we grow.
Only one question more. What's your perspective about this 2021?
Sure. So very interesting year. We're coming out of a pandemic. The world is much more digitized. Healthcare looks quite different. Or certainly the way we think about healthcare looks quite different. Demographics are an important story. We're seeing a shift let's say an element of regionalization across the world where the West is becoming a big component. Europe is becoming a big sort of group of countries, and you have the emergence of the East as well. And so there's a lot of macro dynamics that the undercurrents are technological in nature. Hopefully, there's going to be a lot of science and innovation in the years ahead as we try to adapt to things like climate change and a lot of the environmental challenges we face today. And so we think that as all these moving parts come together, collide, there's going to be some really interesting thematic investment opportunities that arise from that interaction. So we keep our ear to the ground. We're constantly on the lookout for new and exciting investment areas. And what the investors can expect to see from us this year are a couple of new investment strategies that don't exist yet in Europe. They'll be the first of their kind and hopefully well received both in Europe and in Spain.
Thanks, Rahul Bhushan, co-founder of Rize ETF. Have a pleasure for us to stay with you. Thanks.
Thanks for having me.
Good day, good business. Good business.
Take care. Yeah. Thank you.
Tiempo para mirar 8:25.